Hello everybody, this is the iFan channel here, and today is a sunny day as you can see, and I'm planning to go to Milan. Yes, I'm going to Milan today, and tomorrow I'm going to be heading to Trieste, and then the next day on the 20th I'm actually going to be heading all the way to Ljubljana, Slovenia, where I'm thinking of renting a car where I'll drive from Ljubljana to Bled and Hallstatt in Austria, which are two very beautiful small towns. I'm not even sure if I could even achieve it, because sometimes rental cars be kind of picky, and they could deny you on the spot without even telling you beforehand. That's what I was worried at several years ago in Berlin. Actually last year, because I'm still under 25, so it might be a bit hard to rent a car, but who knows? Why not? Let's go to Milan. Okay guys, I'm currently on the first train. This is actually a train from Antibes to Ventimiglia, which is actually a city in Italy. Well, basically, I'm going to combine the Milan and Trieste videos into one video due to the fact I've already been to Milan last year, and this year I really only need to go to the museum, the Leonardo Da Vinci Technological Museum, and maybe the Last Supper if I could get in, and maybe the Sforzesco's castle. But otherwise, I would go home in Milan by around like 7 or 8 p.m. and I do have to do laundry as well. Okay guys, I just arrived in Milan. Unfortunately, the SNCF would not provide me a ticket to Milan from Ventimiglia, so I do have to print the ticket. But unfortunately the line is so long that I ended up missing my train, so why not? I'm actually going to eat lunch and then figure out what to do. I'm like basically kind of ripped off by SNCF and Trenitalia. Basically over here is what I'm going to be eating for lunch. Over here we do have a cheese pizza, and over here we have what is a salami sandwich. So why not? I'm actually gonna eat and then figure out what to do next. I'm kind of like baffled as I'm stuck in Ventimiglia. Okay guys, I waited an hour and essentially paid another 40 euros. Yes, 40 euros on top of basically 50 euros. Basically makes this about 90 euros just from Antibes to Milan, just due to some communication barriers. I'm so damn frustrated now. I really can't believe I paid 90 rather than 50, yeah, or even 20 if I were to pay months in advance. Basically made me so baffled now. Been incredibly ripped off at this point. After about 2.5 hours, I finally arrived at Genoa Piazza Panzi train station. I'm going to wait at McDonald's for about an hour before heading to Milan. So see you guys in Milan. After about a few hours, I finally arrived in Milan, and here I am taking train M2. As you can see, Center of S. I'm actually going to go to Leonardo Da Vinci Technological Museum, a museum I did not get to go last year. So see you guys there. After 20 minutes of trying to run as fast as I can to get to the museum, I finally got admitted. Basically one of the last customers admitted into the museum, and over here I believe is some tool of some sort, but it is quite big. Definitely a lot bigger than that of the Leonardo da Vinci Museum in Rome. The Leonardo da Vinci Museum in Rome that we visited 4 months ago was rated really horribly on like Yelp and Google. Basically only like 3.8 star review, which is quite horrible for any museum. But here you go, basically a lot of equipment around here. Basically, if you want to know what this monstrosity is, it is actually the Regina Margherita thermal power plant. And this combustion engine is really, really large. In fact, this plant was actually inaugurated in 1895, which it's really old, but nowhere as old as Leonardo da Vinci, who was born in the 1450s, specifically in 1452. Basically, due to the time constraints, I'm actually going to take the fast route. But as you can see, this is what an old pharmacy looks like, a far cry from the modern pharmacy. You can actually see something similar in the Deutsches Museum. I showed you guys last year in Munich. But as you can see, this is what a typical pharmacy would look like in the 17th and 18th century. Not only does it show a pharmacy, it also shows like other things such as the robotic voice activated walk kicking machine. I'm not even joking. This would be hilarious during Leonardo da Vinci's time, but it's quite possible in today's time. And also, you just see robots, yes. As you can see here, some robots, as well as, you guessed it, some more models and stuff. Basically, many of these are toys, but they can be used for physics. And of course, these are slightly more advanced robots. But I really love the Boston Dynamic robots. Unfortunately, the Boston Dynamic robots are not being shown here, nor are the Arduino computers and stuff. But I do think many of these do run Raspberry Pi of some sort or something similar. And of course, this is what a more modern science lab would look like. But I do not think it's science, as it includes sewing machines as well as some art machines. But this is more of an idea of today's science labs. And of course, if you go to this section, you will find some of the things like Leonardo Da Vinci might have written down and drawn. As you can see, this is actually Jacquard loom. I'm not sure if Leonardo Da Vinci actually drew this or not. I'm now in a room where it shows certain appliances. Over here is a mid-20th century stove. And if you were to go here, some of these are pots and stuff. These are from the mid-20th century. This is actually from the 21st century. I do believe this is a rice cooker. I actually do have these at home, a Tiger rice cooker. And if you were to see here, I do believe these are cans of food. And I do believe this is actually a refrigerator of some sort. Actually, it is a refrigerator case from the 1950s. Yeah, it's crazy to see refrigerators like this. But if you were to go here, you would actually see a pot for South Asian people, as well as a cold chain, I do believe so, over here. And this is actually a liquid nitrogen tank from 2015. Basically, this is also an ice cream churn, however, from the 1940s. I know that's not it. You actually do see some more machines and a slow machines over here. Now I'm actually going to try to add some fertilizer here. As you can see, the more fertilizer I put in, the more it will be full. And the plant is nearly finished over here. Over here you actually see some plants. And if you were to go here, it will show you about the soil and stuff. Basically how deep the soil is. As well as you guessed it, weather forecasting. They basically just send rockets to the sky to actually test the weather. And over here we'll show some tall plants relative to a human being from 1925. And it will show you guys methods to protect crops and stuff. And by the end of this room, you actually see a tractor. This is actually one of the tractors. Fun fact, there was a guy named Francesco Cassani who actually invented the diesel-powered tractor in 1927. It was actually 40 horsepower, so it's very pitiful in today's standards, especially for a car, because many horrible cars, like economy boxes, have like at least 80 or 90 horsepower. But basically, the first diesel-powered tractor had 40 horsepower, and you can actually see Cassani's name written on it. I'm currently on the second floor, and of course, in Rome, I did say Leonardo da Vinci is a genius, and based on all of these, he is, because he did dream up of so many things, even during the 16th century when technology was very limited, such as this, which is actually an anemometer, which is used to measure the strength of wind, and this is actually an inclinometer, which is used to measure the control and position of flight with respect to a horizontal plane. And of course, this is actually a hygrometer, which is actually used to measure the humidity. And of course, this is actually the mechanism for the flight. And over here is actually a replica of a plane, basically a really ancient one, which Leonardo da Vinci actually envisioned. And of course, this is actually, you guessed it, a parachute. Leonardo da Vinci has thought of so many different ideas, not just paintings. Not only he painted Mona Lisa as well as the Last Supper, he also thought out of so many ideas in his free time. He's essentially a polymath, which is the person who's basically a master of several different fields. And of course, in this room alone, which showed some sketches made by Leonardo da Vinci over his lifetime, not just with art, but also in terms of engineering. He also sketched animals as well, just like I showed you guys in Rome. Even though the objects you'll see are actually medieval or even ancient equipment, Over here is a giant crossbow envisioned by Leonardo Da Vinci. And here's some artillery tools, including this, which is actually a double ballista. And this is actually just a regular ballista over here. And you will actually see a precursor to the modern day cannon gun over here. And you actually see some more. I do believe this is actually a wheel, but it is called a multi-barrel organ. Over here, of course, is the mobile assault bridge. And if you were to go a bit further, these are some books over here. Just like I showed you guys in Rome, this is actually a revolving crane. Basically a precursor to many modern cranes, which are essentially just trucks and stuff. And over here is a machine for raising columns, basically a precursor to modern construction vehicles. And if you were to go here, it will show even a bigger replica. Over here is actually a crane, and over here is a winch. And of course there are also other materials such as hydraulic saws over here. And if you want to see, here are some more household tools and stuff, with this surprisingly being an oven. And you guys know what this is, a printing press, basically invented by Johannes Gutenberg in 1453. And by the end you will actually see this. I'm now back on the ground floor, and remember when I showed you guys the old pharmacy, what a 18th century pharmacy looks like? Well, this is actually a more modern lab over here. This is actually a food lab, by the way. Not only does the museum show like Leonardo da Vinci sketches and scientific experiments and stuff, it also shows this, which is actually an LHC dipole magnet. Basically something out of Leonardo da Vinci's realm, of course. But it does show like some miscellaneous equipment and stuff, machinery. Of course, this is one example. And if you want to go in here, it actually shows an older room and what I believe is Renaissance music playing inside. And if you don't know what this is, many companies do have it, and it is actually a data room. Basically all the servers are located here, and this is where all the mainframes are. Basically a lot more powerful than like your typical workstation computer, like Windows 11 Pro. This is basically Windows Server and stuff, and many of them do have Intel Xeon W processors and many powerful processors, which are out of the realm for us. And of course these are some more machines and machinery. I'm now basically near the end of the museum, and over here is a horse-drawn stagecoach from the 19th century, basically a precursor to many cars. And you might think this is actually a horseless carriage. It is not. However, many early examples of horseless carriages actually look like this. And of course these are actually steam engines. Basically unlike many electric powered trains of today, for steam engine you do have to put in a ton of coal, like several hundred pounds of coal like every minute or something. And then like the steam engine would take several minute break every like 30 minutes to an hour for like water. That's what I knew from Top Gear on their series 13 episode 1. And of course these will be early examples of trains, including, you guessed it, the metro. And this is of course going to be a train at many amusement parks, and this is actually a horse-drawn stagecoach. And basically many steam-powered trains do run out of commission. They're basically decommissioned throughout the 20th century and the 21st century. And over here is an old example of a metro, basically a streetcar. I do believe the META still uses something like this. However, it's from 1945, and it is actually this, yes, Ashmont Matapan trolley. It is still being in use today, which is absolutely mind-boggling, as these trains were constructed in 1945, before my parents were born. And last up, before I leave this building, let me show you guys the space shuttle, as well as, you guessed it, the submarine. In fact, no, let me not forget one more thing. This is the very last room of the museum, basically the exit, and as you can see, these are actually some ancient boats, and these are ancient missile guns, and of course these are planes over here, and you can see boats of all sorts. And basically you could actually also see some of these, which are more modern military equipment. And of course you'll see a lot more replica ships as well over here. And basically this is actually the exit, so I'm actually going to go all the way to Monza to do my laundry and eat. I'm now back on the metro on the way to Monza. As you can see, I'm actually going to go to Central FS first, and then from Central FS I'm actually going to take the train to Monza. After leaving the train, I'm entering another train. Basically a green train to Tirano, but instead of going to Tirano, I'm actually going to stop halfway between Milan and Tirano, which is actually, you guessed it, Monza. Now, despite the fact this is a commuter rail line, basically it would only take me about 12 minutes to get to Monza. 12 minutes. As Monza is basically only really 12 kilometers on a straight line from the central Milano station. So why not, I'm gonna see you guys in Monza. Okay guys, I've been in Monza for a few hours, about 3 hours now. It is now around 10:40 and this is where I'm going to eat. I actually did my laundry, but I was kind of stressed out. That's why I did not really record. I was panicking to laundry my clothes and there's no available laundries, and also like basically the bus driver left me stranded for a few minutes. But here it is, one of the first meals. This is actually an all-you-can-eat sushi, so I do have to buy as much as I can to like maximize the value. Over here, even more servings, as you can see, quite appetizing. Basically over here is my third section of sushi. And finally, this is my last meal. And then I'm gonna go back to the hotel. I'm really tired. The only thing I could do is really sleep. In fact, my brain is starting to shut down because I woke up since 7 a.m. Okay guys, I just arrived to the hotel. This is my bed over here. And here is of course the clothes rack. And there's actually a table and another table here. As well as, you guessed it, TV. And there's also a restroom as well. So basically you do have all the amenities we need. Even a bidet. So basically I'm just gonna sleep. I basically nearly passed out. I woke up at 7, only having slept like 5 hours, so I'm really tired. Plus I've like walked a lot today and was very stressed out. And I hope tomorrow will be a vast improvement because I actually booked the train tickets more carefully. So I have more peace of mind than like today, where of course there's SNCF issues and I didn't really have much experience because I have not been to France for at least 5 years. I have been there like when I was an adolescent, yeah. But this is basically my first adulthood trip. Of course I have been to like Berlin and stuff like as an adult, as I was essentially in my 20s now. So basically I'm just gonna sleep and see you guys tomorrow.